I am your host for tonight. I am Erica Shorty. I'm so excited to see you, have you here for the night. We are having a really good conversation tonight. We are talking about all things career design. But I am not going to be sharing this information. We have a very special guest, and I'm so excited to have her here. Jaleesa Beavers. She is passionate about creating spaces to help people approach change with compassion, radical honesty, and intentional action. After completing a bachelor's degree in music theater and spending years on stage and in audition rooms, Jaleesa decided to use the skills she learned performing to pivot into education. Facilitation, coaching, virtual community orchestration, and nonprofit management. She believes that community and collaboration are the best places to find answers, spark motivation, and pave new paths. Give a wildcat welcome to Jaleesa Beavers of Mission Collaborative. Jaleesa, thank you for joining.
Hi, Erica. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to get to talk to y'all about career design tonight.
We are so excited to have you, and it's coming at the best time ever. And so, without further ado, I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce this career design process because we are ready and eager to learn.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm so glad we get a little bit of time to talk today. I definitely want to talk about the career design process, but I also want to talk to you all about some of the work that we do at Mission Collaborative, but also as a program manager, some of the things that I'm seeing on my end working with folks who are changing careers. As we know, it's we're living in a dicey job market. And so it would be remiss of me to not come in and spill the entire tea for all of you and let you know exactly what I'm seeing, how I think you can help protect yourself and guard yourself and kind of pivot and make change if that's something that you're considering doing. Okay, so we're going to talk about designing uh, journeys, your career as an alumni, and feel free. I love to get to meet people. It's one of my favorite things to do. So feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat. Let me know your grad year from Davidson. Let me know where you're logging on from, or where you're working, or even what brought you here today. You can tell me one, you can tell me two, you can tell me three. It's a great way for people to be able to for us to be able to see, but also for you to maybe be able to connect with someone that you maybe haven't met in the chat before. I'll answer the questions. I graduated from the University of Central Oklahoma in 2013. I'm logging on currently from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and that's also where I'm working from. Work from my home in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay, so let's hop into the next slide, please, Erica. Okay, so here at Mission Collaborative, we our main job is to help you design a career that you love, and we have served 10,000 plus career changers since we opened in 2017. We work with alumni from universities all over the country, and sometimes we work with some folks internationally as well. We get the privilege of getting to partner with some really top-notch universities, and they get the opportunity to pass the workshop on to many of their alumni. So 70 different universities have have taken part in our alumni program, and we're hoping to continue to meet many more and bring this to as many folks as are interested. So our last Davidson Career Design program was in the spring, and we had 32 folks. Their ages ranged from 23 to 61, and they were across 13 different industries. And so they all joined for different reasons. A lot of people were facing a layoff. That might be something that you're seeing right now. It's very possible that that's something that somebody in this room is going through right now. There were also people looking to pivot industries, maybe deciding that they didn't enjoy the HR work and wanted to pivot into engineering or medicine or something of the sort. But overall, a lot of people were just seeking more purpose in their work. Something that we see a lot. So we see a lot of people just like, I just want to go to work and feel like I'm part of something, or like I'm helping the greater good, or like I'm doing something for somebody, for my community. And so we see a lot of like-minded people who come into the program that way. Last session, 100% of the people from Davidson said that they were glad that they participated. They said that they found clarity, they found direction, and a real renewed momentum. So I also want to tell you a little bit about how our program works. It's a peer learning program. So what happens, it's a 4-week program, and what happens is you are split into uh, groups of 4 to 6. You'll have a work session together once a week. it's a diverse group of people that you work with. So you might be working with people from different industries, people from different backgrounds, all Davidson alumni. But as you know, there are Davidson alumni right now. I'm seeing people in Chicago, I'm seeing Atlanta, I'm seeing Washington D.C., I'm seeing Chapel Hill, North Carolina, right? So there's people from all over the world. So I have found in my years of working in workshops that diversity of thought and experience and background make for really rich conversations, really rich feedback, and for career ideas that you might have never thought of or considered in a situation where everything is very homogenous and everyone has had very similar experiences. Okay, next slide, please. So it's possible that you're on this call today for a lot of different reasons. Most people come to these kind of calls because they're feeling disengaged at work. Something that I'm seeing more of lately is people feeling disengaged at work, but also being very afraid to leave their jobs. Like, let's just tell the truth. There's a lot of shakeups that are happening right now, and people are, even if they have a job, they're saying, what? I can't go. I can't leave. I have to hold on to this thing. And one of the biggest gifts that career design gave me has been a roadmap. And it's been the opportunity to be able to plan a finish line for myself to end up. It's kind of become my North Star, as it were, so that as things change, we don't have any control over the market, over the economy, over, new industries that come out and industries that go out, but it helps me figure out where I want to go in alignment with my values, and it helps me to figure out how to pivot. And so if you are feeling disengaged at work, but maybe afraid to switch, maybe you come and take the career design process, and maybe you don't switch jobs for another 2 to 3 years, right? But this gives you a compass of where you could go, as opposed to just like, okay, well, this is not a good time right now, right? You also might be in a situation where you are laid off and you're wondering what's next. And as someone who has been through the layoff process, it can feel very stressful to go into a workshop like ours and think, oh, I need a job right now. I need a job right now. But I would encourage you to think of it as a gift to your future self. When you come into the program in 4 weeks, you may have found a job. This definitely has happened within the workshop. And you might have just found a direction, right? You might know which to pivot. You might decide, oh, I need this extra certification. Maybe I want to go back to school. Maybe I want to learn this new skill set that I didn't have. Maybe I have this skill set that I actually didn't know about because I haven't taken the time to be able to really reflect. And now I see this whole new landscape, this whole new industry of something that I can go after. So I would think of it, if you're disengaged at work, you can think of it as a North Star, but also if you've been laid off, just think of it as a gift, because sometimes in the moment when you are laid off, it can feel incredibly stressful and incredibly scary because you just don't know what you're going to do, and you don't know how long it's going to be until the bills run up. And, it can be a very treacherous place to be in. And in this job market where there's so much change, it can be stressful, but having something to hold on to know, okay, I'm in rough waters right now, but I'm holding on to this thing, and it's going to help me as I continue to hold on to rough waters, because I know where my values lie, I know where my interests are, and I know what I care about, and I know what I want to continue to work for. Can also be quite the gift when you're still just trying to figure out, how am I going to put food on the table. Okay, next slide, please. So making change is hard. I know I just had that whole diatribe about a gift to yourself and a North Star, and that sounds beautiful, but it's true that making change is very difficult. And oftentimes we don't know what we want. And depending on where you are in your career, you might be early, you might be mid-level, you might be close to retirement. The idea of starting over can feel absolutely, completely overwhelming. And then also just to find the time for something. How would I start? The beauty of peer learning and taking a workshop is that you no longer get to put it off. Sometimes there might be someone in this room who has been saying for the last, 3 years, I'm going to switch. I'm going to find a new job. I want to find a career. I hate this. I'm tired of this. And you keep putting it off, putting it off. There's holidays that show up, family obligations, sports games, things that we love, concerts that we plan to do, vacations. You put it off over and over and over again. when you join a course, you have the accountability of the peers, the people you work with, a program manager who you'd also work with, and you're doing it within a specific time frame. And sometimes that just makes it easier to just hop in and just dig in and get the work done and complete. Okay, next slide. So most people, when they're looking for a job, they hop on LinkedIn or they hop on the various sites that LinkedIn says are great places to find jobs. You know, the posts, and they just start applying. They start applying for stuff. And sometimes, I mean, I've definitely seen people who are saying, "Oh, I've applied for 300-400 jobs," and that's fair. It's very possible that there are 300 or 400 jobs doing exactly what you want to do, but it's also possible that you do something really more niche and you're just applying for jobs to apply for jobs. Some people work with a really fancy career coach, which is definitely an option. Um, Definitely an option, and also depending on what it is that you want, that might be a really good option. Sometimes working one to one with a coach can be the thing that takes you to the next level. But the beauty of working in peer learning is that it's almost like when you're in your group, you have like 5 other mini coaches who are working with you. And you're not, you of course get the workshop for a fraction of the price, which makes it different, makes it easier in that way, but you have 5 other people who are looking at you. They're looking at your work with you every week. And then of course there are other people within the group, the workshop as a whole, if you want to meet with them, if you want to learn with them. Lots of people give feedback on work. And then a lot of people just do nothing and they stay stuck and they go to work and they're really miserable, or they see their company downsizing and they're stressed every night because they don't know when it's going to be their turn to get an envelope or a phone call or an email. And that can be really terrifying. And the beauty of doing something like a career design workshop is that you can take a little bit of control. At least if you know that the letter is coming or the end is coming, you have somewhat of a plan, which is much, can feel more peaceful than if you just walk in one day and you get a layoff slip. It can be very stressful. So that's what most people do. Now I'm going to tell you about the career design workshop. Next slide. Okay, so our career design process has 4 different areas. So we start with reflection, then we go into definition, then we go into testing, and then we go into launch. And this entire workshop is based on design thinking and the career development theory, and it has been refined over and over and over by thousands of different career folks who have been through our workshop. Next slide, please, Erica. Okay, so we start with reflection. I think reflection is the biggest key, in my opinion. I think reflection is what a lot of us in the workplace sometimes are missing, because we just have to go, we have to clock in, we have to get it done, we have to do the projects, right? We have to work with people, we have to do the water cooler, we have to do the office drama, right? And so a lot of times by the time you come home, there's just not a lot of time to think about it. And then maybe you gotta feed kids, you got a dog, or whatever it is you gotta do. So taking the time to stop, to ask yourself, what are my values? What am I interested in? What did I like in my last job? What did I hate in my last job? What are the characteristics of the best manager I've ever had, right? The person I never want to see again, right? Like, what did they do? What kind of characteristics did they carry? What kind of leader do I want to be? That is so important, to take the time to sit and reflect before you ever get into any ideating. And then also just to ask yourself, like, what are my limiting beliefs? What are the reasons why I think I can't change? Do I think I'm too old? Do I think I don't have the skill set? Do I think that maybe I don't know how to run this particular software or use AI or any of these specific tools, right? Like, let's get really honest and ask ourselves what's actually in the way, because there's also things in the way here, because if there wasn't anything in the way, you already would have moved on some of the things you've been talking about moving on. So we need to get clear here so we can get clear out here. And that reflection piece with yourself. We also have accountability partners within the program, so you'll have a one-to-one person that you'll meet with every week as well. So between reflection with you, your accountability partner, your group, and then of course also with me, a program manager, you really get time to really dig into what you've been working on, what you've been thinking about, and what you could potentially want to be doing before you ever jump into the actual work of, oh gosh, what am I going to be doing? So that's why we start with reflection, so we can all get a really clear baseline so we're not just throwing paint at the wall. Next slide. And then we go into the definition phase. So that's when we start to ideate and brainstorm about what you want. What do you want? Do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be a salesperson? Do you, I don't know, want to be a blogging travel agent? I've had that before for sure. That was cool to see someone decide that's what they wanted to be doing. It's really just an opportunity for you to stop and throw a bunch of things on the whiteboard. And I always encourage people during this phase that there is nothing too big to dream. There's nothing too crazy to dream. This is not about prejudging yourself. This is about like, okay, what are all the things I've ever thought about? If when I was 7, I thought about, oh, I want to be a firefighter, like, and I still might want to do it, throw it on the wall. Like, in the next step, you might find out you don't have the needs to be a firefighter, but that's not the point for right now. The point for right now is to just be like, oh, I could be a firefighter. I could do this. I could do that. These are all the things that I'm interested in. And sometimes even that dreaming phase, that interest phase, often also opens you up to careers you're just not aware of, because there's so many jobs. Like even the job I do now, I run workshops online. I didn't know this job existed 10 years ago. And in a lot of ways, I guess probably online ed tech didn't exist 10 years ago, but now it does exist. And it's a job that I do that I love. So there's also possibly an idea that there's a job that you love that you don't know exists. Okay, next slide. So once you go through the definition phase, you brainstorm, you think about all the things you might want to do, you would narrow down to a couple different options. And this is where things get really interesting and also really courageous, because in the research and testing phase, you've got to narrow down your ideas, and we want you to start reaching out to people you may know in your network, people you may not know in your network, trying to figure out, who can I ask questions with? Is there someone I can shadow? Are there things I can learn? Maybe I can go audit a college class, like whatever, right? Like to actually start to real world think about what would it be like to do this job, so that you can see if it's something you might be interested in. Now, the interesting part about the research and testing phase is that it is a place that people can get stuck, because a lot of times people think, oh, I found my thing. And then they narrow down and they're like, oh, I don't want to do either of these. And they're like, but I did it wrong. And the thing about the career design is that there is no wrong. We give you a guideline, but this process is really yours and it belongs to you. And I've seen people who have gone through and done research and testing and gone back to the ideating phase several different times, over and over and over again, right? Because that's how this works. We think we want something, we test it out. If we want it, we go for it. If we don't, go back, we ideate again, and we test until we find what's right. So that is the next phase. And then next slide. And then the next is the launch phase. So typical career process, the one that I mentioned before, where you just start throwing paint at the wall and you apply. Processes fail a lot. Career changers, you really need a different approach. One of those being networking and knowing people. And the research and testing phase is a really good opportunity to start to find groups of people who do the thing that you want to do. And we all know at this point, especially with the job market, you can apply for a job and you're one of 500 people, right? That's very normal for right now. And so the more people that you know, the more opportunities that you have to get into the rooms of people that you care about, that do the work that you care about, the more likely you are to be able to land a job, or to be able to just get on a radar, so that as a company, maybe you find that there is a job. I've seen this happen too with a student once. There was a job that she wanted, but she really wanted a specific company, because it was a specific company that was doing the specific nonprofit work that she wanted to do, and there were very few options. And so that was her time to really just to start to target, how many people can you meet with in this company? How many people can you start to connect with, so that they know maybe they don't have a job open right now, but in 18 months, in 24 months, right? Because we're not just designing your next career move, we're designing your path from here until you get to the point of retirement. And so how you want to get there looks a myriad of different ways for everybody. Next slide, please. Oh, that was my last slide. Thank you all for letting me talk for a while about a topic that I'm really passionate about, which is career design. What questions can I answer?
Thank you, Jaleesa. This program is so unique because I love the fact that you all are really encouraging the peer work that is needed and necessary. And I love the verbiage that you use from job seekers to career changers because words matter. I love that you were able to utilize that. I actually have a question, and really because the past year, the state of the workforce just looks very different in 2026 than it has in any past years. I remember when we looked at the economic downturn of 2009, this is not quite that. It is very, very different. So, are you all noticing within Mission Collaborative that there are certain trends? Are there people looking to really transition into entrepreneurial endeavors? Are you noticing that more career changers are really advocating for like how do I slow down? How do I ramp up? Like what are some of the trends that you all are seeing where you are?
Yeah, we are seeing a lot of people start to try to figure out this term called portfolio work, which
Mm,
is the idea that you would have your hands in a bunch of different baskets and maybe you consult a little bit, maybe you teach a little bit, and maybe you do a little bit of something else that you do. Maybe you meal prep or you're a chef and you do these things a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So we're definitely seeing a lot of that. Um, and I'm seeing a lot of people, honestly, I'm seeing a lot of people deciding they want to go into mental health work. A lot of people
mm,
deciding they want to go into mental health work, which is really, mm, I think, beautiful and interesting to see that people would see, oh, I see what's going on with folks, and like I want to be able to support that. So I'm
yeah.
seeing that, and I'm also, hmm, I'm seeing a lot of people uh, come in with like a very clear idea. They come in with a very clear
Hmm.
idea of what they want, and then they totally pivot. When I first started, I was seeing more people that kind of knew what they wanted. We were seeing more people because this is before all of the change happened. They kind of knew what they wanted to do, and it was kind of like a smooth sailing for them to go through the workshop. It's
Yeah.
a lot different now. It's people coming in and there's a lot of fear. They're coming in with a lot of
Mm,
fear naturally, coming in with a lot of anxiety naturally, a lot of dysregulation very naturally. Um, everybody is nervous for everybody.
yeah.
Even if you have a secure job, there's probably somebody that you love that you're nervous about for them, right? So people are coming in with a lot of anxiety and things they're trying to work through. And then once they're able to put that down, they're able to actually talk about the things they want to do. And they're like doing total 180s, which is also really cool.
Thank you for that. And we do have a question in the chat. Can everyone hear me okay? Everyone can hear me pretty good? We have a question in the chat that says, how are companies assessing candidates given AI candidate filtering and AI enhanced resumes? I've gotten a lot of questions like that, but how would you say companies are assessing candidates, or have you heard anything about how they're assessing candidates?
Can I tell you the truth? What I think, what
I'm
I
ready.
see, they don't know. They don't know. They don't know.
Wow.
They don't know what they're doing. They are using these ATS systems that they are actually not necessarily aware how they work. They're getting people to a specific place to the interview and they're saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, we didn't find. We got to go back. We got to go back to the drawing board." Because the problem with
Wow.
these AI systems is that they're trained to look for very specific wording. But oftentimes, when you're going into a workplace, you're going into a culture, right? You're going into a culture. There are very specific things that, like, I can't necessarily say to the ATS in the same way that if you and I, Erica, had a sit down, I could communicate the projects and the values and the mission of the company in a different way, right? And so oftentimes
Right.
people who are getting through the ATS system are not necessarily the fit. And so there's a lot of money right now that is being
Yeah.
spent going in a circle. People are going in a circle,
Yeah.
which is why I will still maintain that I think the best way to is to get past the assessment, get under it,
Yeah.
get around it. The more people you know, the more people who know the work that you do, right? Whether it be your online presence, if you have some sort of professional brand that you're working through, or you have some sort of networking group, or you have some sort of something, that is
Yeah.
really the best way to get around it and behind it, because these companies do not have a clear process yet, and they are unfortunately fumbling with a lot of people who are looking. That's just me being honest.
Thank you for that insight. I think as a certified career coach, and um, for those of you that are online that have not taken advantage of the one-on-one coaching that Davidson provides, I am going to highly encourage you all to do that. Not just because I'm doing it and I think it's awesome, but because it is 1000% one of those ways that you can ask those questions and start to build a strategy around what it is that you're doing. Start to build a strategy around, hey, if I'm making a targeted approach for a company or an industry that I'm looking to work in, it is very, very important to make sure that you are speaking and utilizing some of the features that we have, which is one-on-one coaching. And so thank you, Jaleesa, for like really being able to give us a sense of what we're seeing out there and, to let other people know that, the things that you are experiencing, you're not alone. We're all navigating this thing together, and that's exactly why this exists. So I thank you for that. Any questions from our alums in regards to the career design process? As mentioned, and we'll kind of get into here in a little bit, some of the insights from last year's program, but would love for you to drop your questions in the chat. Thank you to those that have already put their questions in the chat. Um, but any additional questions while Jaleesa is here with us and we move on to our next piece of our program? Going once, going twice. Jaleesa, thank you so very much for spending the time with us today, letting us know about the career design process, what we can expect. We are so excited to be teaming up with you all again this year. We're so excited because we know it's needed, we know it's necessary. So we're going to be seeing you again, Jaleesa. We're excited. Thank you so much.
I can't wait. Thank you all so much for having me. It's been so great to get to see you all today, and I just want to wish you all the best in your career design, your endeavors. And if you ever have any other questions or need anything from me, get in touch with Erica or Anna, and I'm sure that they can get you in touch with me, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Jaleesa. And of course, we could not talk about Mission Collaborative without talking to the very alums that went out and were brave enough to do our very, very first program. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome two other special guests with me tonight. Ethan Lindsay, class of 1993, Cynthia Castle, class of 96. Thank you so very much for being here tonight. Thank you so much for just agreeing to do this program and then also being able to be one of the brave pioneers of the Mission Collaborative program. So I'm going to ask you all a couple of questions tonight, and those of you that are here, if you have any questions as we are going through the panel discussion, I just ask that you drop those questions in the chat. We want to make sure that we give you time to ask questions to Ethan and Cynthia. And Ethan, I'm going to start with you. What brought you to the point in your career journey where you said, you know what, Mission Collaborative is my first starting point? Let's talk about that.
I got fired. No. Oh,
Ethan.
I don't have any of the new language. No, I had a breakup with my former employer. Um, those things happen. Sometimes they happen very well.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're mutual. This one wasn't a happy breakup in that
Yeah.
sense, tumultuous. Um, but then aside from that, that was the kind of the trigger. But there's probably already some things happening. What brought me to Mission Collaborative was actually you, Erica Shorty. Um, Erica has been tuning her. Well, she hasn't. I mean, she's really good at what she does. So I encourage everyone to take her up. I'm her biggest promoter, I feel. But really sitting down with Erica. I was just at a point in place. I just those things happen, interruptions in life. And it was a great opportunity to take advantage of the program. One, um, as an alum, it was also something I found that finally Davidson was responding to those of us who were who had graduated in the 90s and below, or even in between, who had been out of school more than 15 years. So it was a great way to take advantage of that, but also demonstrate to the college that this was something that was needed and to support it.
Thank you, Ethan. And I appreciate just the level of transparency that you gave. And I think, in doing career coaching, you have to have that level of transparency on both ends of being able to say, hey, listen, this is where I found myself and this is where I'm trying to go. And so I have to just say thank you to you, Ethan, for being able to show up as your full authentic self and then to be able to say, hey, I'm going to try something new with other Davidson alums and just trust the process. So I want to say thank you. Cynthia, I'm going to ask you the same question. What really brought you to the career design program, and just talk through like where you were and how was it like that first day meeting so many other alums in that program?
So, in full transparency, Ethan was our guide and our leader. So, he was kind of our cohort masterpiece in all of it. So, thank you to Ethan because he led us on that journey. What got me to that journey, like Ethan, I was ripped. Reduction in force, which is known in the federal government, essentially part of the, sorry, I'm going to say illegal terminations last year across the federal government, including CDC. I'd worked there for 15 plus years, and within almost coming up on the 1 year anniversary of our entire program, team, branch, and about 90% of our division, which was the Division of Reproductive Health, being completely ripped, along with thousands of other federal government employees. Fortunately, I am still getting paid because through administrative leave, because we're caught in the court cases, and how our program was included in the narrow preliminary injunction and others were not. I, till this day, don't know. But I magically, well, not magically, but the email appeared in my inbox about a week or two after the RIF. And honestly, it made me cry because it was at that magical moment of like, oh my God, I need this. And I need this with a trusted cohort of people that have a similar foundation, similar values, and somewhere that I could be to be me. And even no one was in my class and our cohort. It was that instant, hopefully Ethan agrees, but we all talked about it. It was that instantaneous bonding that we all came from the same foundational place from our undergraduate career. And all of us were different sort of places. And so it was that safe space where all of us could be honestly really raw and authentic about our fears, about our lack of future in a way, or and also just instability and trying to figure out where we go from here. And we talked about values, and we can talk more. I know we're going to talk more, but it was a raw time, but it also was a really, really, I cannot underestimate or stress enough how pivotal it was in that moment in time to where I am now. And I'm going to hold to to tell everyone where I am now because of, honestly, when I look back, because of Mission Collaborative and that journey.
Yeah, thank you, Cynthia. And Ethan, and really the both of you, like, what shifted for you during the experience? Like, obviously, this was a new experience for all alums that were involved. We had never done a program like this before. Can you recall that moment where you were like, okay, like I think that this is a good next step, or I've made some really great connections. Like, what was that shift for you, Ethan, within the program?
Yeah, and also, probably there's nobody in my class on here. Most of y'all don't know my directness and my frankness. I'm actually a nice guy, but I just like to get to it.
Teddy
Um,
bear. Attached to that. He's a teddy bear.
um, and I'm gonna speak directly to us as fellow Davidson alums because to me this was the shift. Davidson folks, we're high achievers. We're used to being successful. Um, Whether your company, firings, deep stuff happens in life, but usually from Davidson, you're used to being able to kind of be in control of your destination. And so when that happens, a lot of things happen emotionally, but also, you know, I was sitting in my room some nights and saying, I got a Davidson College education. This doesn't happen to me or happen to us. Um, so the pivotal moment was to be in the place and be with other Davidson people who were either experiencing the same thing or at a dissatisfaction, um, but also as a return to a sense of a place for me. I always say, well, my wife says Davidson's kind of my happy place, so she likes to prod me to go there once in a while when to get out. Um, but really, it was something about um, that you can forget or take for granted the closeness of the Davidson network. And when you get to this point for 30 plus year career, um, the next position or opportunity for me isn't going to necessarily be an online application, but it's going to be the networking. But also to be able to go through this with other people who at least you can establish an immediate rapport and at least a trust with. And that was important. So you can, this whole mission collaborative process for me is that, the pivotal piece is like forcing you to be uh, vulnerable, and you need to get through the vulnerability so you can have the breakthrough.
Mm. You have to have the vulnerability to get to the breakthrough. That's a sound bite. We got to put that on a t-shirt. Thank you, Ethan. And
Right.
Cynthia, was it the same for you? Like having those thoughts like, I'm a Davidson alum, like these types of things don't happen to me, or like what
I,
was your experience?
150%. Yeah, I know that doesn't exist, but I like to say it anyway. Agree with Ethan because when you look at or where I was a year ago, looking at my resume and CV, I've never been terminated or fired or ripped, whatever you want to put it, from a job.
Yeah.
And it felt personal, even though we well know it wasn't personal, but to some degree, I do think it was personal, not to Cynthia Castle, but as a collective whole to public health. Um, it was gut wrenching. I mean, it was a serious gut.
Mm.
And I can tell you, going through the Mission Collaborative, there were a lot of laughs and a heck of a lot of tears.
Mm-hmm.
And those tears were going to show up, but I want to echo what Ethan said is that trusted space and that foundation,
Mm.
because we knew it was an okay, safe space to cry about
Yeah.
what in the heck is this happening to us? We did nothing wrong, or whether you were fired or thinking about a career change or whatever your sort of moment was, it was uncontrollable for all,
Yeah.
regardless of where you were, of trying to figure it out. And I would also add, along with Ethan's description of it, it was a sense of security. Like it was an elite
Mm-hmm.
cheerleader for us. I mean, at least for me, and I think several of us in our cohort felt the same way, that you would come to the weekly meetings and you knew you immediately had 4 or 5 cheerleaders. And in fact, I still keep in
Right.
touch with 2 of them for our cohort. And being at the Women's Weekend, Davidson Alumni Women's Weekend this weekend, I was like, oh, I haven't checked in with her. Hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
How are you doing on this? From something we talked about a year ago. And
Right.
also a sense of optimism and hope. Again, going back to the cheerleading of a trusted space. I think one of the beauties or gems, many gems of Mission Collaborative, and we talked about this earlier in the call, you get a network to other universities and other similar individuals going through similar situations. They offer up, it's not completely optional, meet and greets. I think it was, I don't know if it was every week or every other week, but it was like a coffee break at like 5 or 6 or 7 o'clock, and
Mm-hmm.
met people from all over. And it was another kind of way to just to network. And I think the number is up. I mean, you put it up there, maybe 10,000, but it was like at least last year it was like 4,500 or 6,000 people that you have,
Mm-hmm.
which you're not going to get on LinkedIn. Not
Yeah.
way, not who have been through Mission Collaborative and have gone through, the same thing. So it was a whole different sort of networking. And I think too, because it with Mission Collaborative, it was like, how can I help you? It was another sort of, and the same thing with the Davidson group. We all swapped contact information, and we were all like, how can I help you? How can I help you? And that's
Yeah.
willing to know that you're being supported.
I think what I loved about the program, and it is not ironic that the two of you are here now. I love that you all's group met way beyond the program end. I think last year the program ended in May. Your group was like, hey, we're still meeting and it's June, July. And so I think it's also a testament of being able to really deepen the connections across class years. Naturally, I think, you graduate in your class year and you remember your classmates and you contact them and all of these things. But what I loved, it was just like, no, I still have connections with someone who's in the class of 22 and I'm in the class of 86. And I love that you all took that peer learning and you deepened the connection with it. So I'm a fan of how you all just stayed connected and really took it and ran to the next level with it. Um, my next question is really like, how do you feel like that program really influenced the way you approach career decisions now? Has there been any sound bites that you all have heard from the program that you're just like, yeah, I think about that when I'm making my career decisions or opportunities. Ethan, I'll start with you.
Yeah, it's I don't know how to answer that one, but I'll try to do it like this. And I'm trying to think about one of the exercises that we went through where you had people comment about uh, who you were, what you were. These were people outside of your team. You sent it out to several people. I sent it to about 7 folks. Some were only 2 were Davidson people, uh, and then other ones were family of Davidson. But anyway, the point was just to, and at that point in time, I needed to hear that feedback uh,
Mm,
because for me, it was it was always hard to when you're in the day to day and then your own things. It was just kind of hard to assess your skills. For me, that was hard. Um, just because I'm just kind of I do it, I gather it, didn't know. When people say, "Oh no, those are skill sets," I'm like, well, it's what I do. Um, that was helpful to have that done, and then to have others in the group tell you about things that they saw you doing. So what I take from that is for people right now too, if you're in a job or if you're thinking about the transition, even if you don't do the Mission Collaborative, this is something I took away from it. Join Mission Collaborative, you'll get the questions and the whole piece. But really have people give an assessment of of you and where they would see you. It's the feedback. It's like that question I remember is like from observing this person, what do you think are their greatest talents and strengths? And
mm,
what gifts could they contribute to the world? And that was the giftedness of
mhm,
leaning into that. And when I was looking at it, my giftedness is really what I've done for my career, which is to help people get through complicated nuance and dynamics, power across all kinds of things. As if you all hadn't noticed, I don't have a problem. just say what it is and let's get to it.
yeah.
So that was just continuing to take assessment of yourself, but have others take as assessment, and not during your end of year review and all that crazy nonsense, but have people that you've worked with or who just know you.
Mhm.
Have to know yourself to lead yourself. Being able to have that feedback is just, it's invaluable because you can do so much with it and you can see yourself in a lens and a light that, a lot of people that may shy away from feedback can. And so I'm glad that you were able to get that in real time and
Yeah.
not wait.
And before I forget it real practical skill, especially for those of you who have not interviewed for a long time, that assessment helps you like answer those crazy questions, I think, like tell me about yourself or whatever. So it gives you kind of something, a runway
Yeah,
for interviewing.
Mhm.
absolutely. Cynthia, what about you? Has there been any sound bites that you heard from the program that really kind of helped you navigate what you would do next in your career?
Yes. Adding to what Ethan said, that activity was definitely one of the cornerstones for me during Mission Collaborative. Another one was you have to write down and do an exercise about all your values. And it's like
Mm,
20, 30, I forgot, but it's a laundry list. It's like everything in the kitchen sink. But then the questions that follow, and I don't want to give too much away, but you keep having to narrow down to like, Ethan, do you remember it was like top 3 or top 5? I mean, like
Mhm.
it's like, well, but all of these, no, the purpose of really honing in and kind of really digging down deep to that core of that onion of really 2 or 3 values that stand out. It was very challenging for me, but then it was also like, oh, okay, I have a time to really think about these values and align them to what I want to do in the
yeah.
next, or realign them, and making sure that whatever I do going forward, and I've gone back to that list again to kind of
Yeah.
see how like that was a huge light bulb for me, that the Mission Collaborative and the time where I was a year ago to really kind of just have that alignment and to come back and have that ability to go back to it. And I do want to do a special plug. I hope it's still the case. Um, with Mission Collaborative, you have lifetime access to a lot of those resources. And
Hmm.
during the course, I know there were, Nathan, gonna laugh. There were times where I'm like, oh, I didn't do the homework. I'm so sorry. But that's okay because it was either too hard or it was too challenging. We still showed up to our weekly meetings and you got through it, and then you go back to the homework or you go back to the resources. And I really appreciate that about Mission Collaborative, that it's not like a one and done after the course. You don't have access to those resources. You can keep coming back to those resources when you're ready and when you need them. So yeah, I'm glad
I
to know
love
it's still a thing that you can do that.
I love that the value, and I see Jaleesa, she's shaking her head like she's confirming, like, yes, you have lifelong access to the resources, even beyond after you're out of the program. I think what I find, and I heard you all mention about the values activity, I find as a coach that sometimes when we're in a career or maybe um, we're in partnership with a certain organization or an employer for too long, sometimes our own values are are lost because we forget what we value from an organization, what we value and how we work, how we value what we do when we work. And I've seen that trend, in talking with alums where they're like, oh man, I got this job and I've been doing it for 20 years and I don't think I want to do it anymore. Or one of the other topics of discussion is like, hey, I've done the hustle and bustle in a career before and I want to retire. And I'm not quite sure if I know how to transition from this piece to retirement. So thank you for talking about the values piece because that is 1000% probably one of the most important exercises that anyone could do if they're currently in career transition, or they're transitioning from one phase of life to another. Like, you got to know what you're valuing in this moment, and honor the piece of yourself that says, what I valued in 2002 is not what I'm going to value in 2026. We reserve the right to get better and evolve. And so, thank you for shedding light on that. And my last question: what are we doing now? The program ended last spring. What are you doing now? Ethan, I'll start with you.
Oh, you should let Cynthia go. She's got the big, she's got her background. That was inside joke for
Follow traditional. You're going first.
yeah. So what am I doing now is I've launched really a consulting practice called Up North Impact, and website should be finished and going up this week. But spent a lot of time thinking about it, and based on those things, and it's philanthropic advising, where I just want to help families, individuals, corporations, and even foundations find their pathway to their strategic philanthropy. My career had been in philanthropy, working for various foundations, community foundations to private family foundations. I was just in that impact space, and this gives me a chance to combine some of that experience, but really to help people with more of a discerning process. But also, I'm a certified advisor in philanthropy, so a little bit of the planning side of what financial pieces of it can work with advisors, but it's really to focus with people who find sometimes in their ways their own values. So I've launched it in 2024, but really 25, spent some time building it out. But lo and behold, thanks to Davidson Connection and Network, I landed a fairly large client, a foundation. It's taken up a lot of space. But what I heard tonight, what Jaleesa said, I'm gonna start using this. I still have a portfolio of things that I do as well.
Mm-hmm.
I even substitute teach in my son's school, because that was one of the things I said, teaching. But God, I don't know if I definitely can't do that, because my values and the values of some of the students are not the same. But then also it allows me to still be open and looking for the right opportunities career-wise. But the focus has been on Up North Impact. And
Congratulations.
Yep. And I forgot to do this. I'll say this. I promise I'll shut up, because we're speaking on this values. I know a lot of people are sitting there and talking about this values thing, and all it means is that, man, your values, explore them, because it'll help you really be comfortable and decide. It's a nice, pretty way to say is that I don't want to work with these people anymore, because I don't like them and they don't like me. We don't have those things. So
That's real.
so I'm applying
Thank
that
you.
to my consulting practice.
I appreciate you for sharing that. And that is so true. Values have to be in alignment. And a lot of times, as a job seeker, you think that you're being interviewed for the job, but you're also interviewing the job to see if they're a right fit for you. It goes both ways, two-way street. So, Cynthia, what are you doing now? And then we'll open the floor for Q&A from your fellow alums.
So a huge sorry. What am I doing now is, due to Mission Collaborative, formed Healthy Futures Foundation,
Love
Advancing
it.
Child Health, which is a nonprofit. Sorry, the dogs are barking in the background. And it's really taking what what I learned in graduate school, but mostly just over time, starting with Davidson, in terms of my interest in maternal and child health, but then applying what I learned in Mission Collaborative, and it's that emphasis on building their relationships and network. And so this really started with a bunch of us that got ripped last year to then focus on what do we want to do? We want to continue the mission. We want to continue.
Yeah.
And well, how do we do this? And so I'm going to put in we just launched our website. I'll put it in the chat, but that's what I'm doing. And Ethan can hopefully confirm that one of the things that I said last year was like, I want to work with women and children and I want to help.
Yeah.
Kind of didn't know what that kind of would look like, but got crystal clear after I took Mission Collaborative, the course.
Congratulations, Cynthia. And that was definitely one of the things that you said that you wanted to do. And so it's just great to see both of you walking in your purpose, walking in your gifts. And so just very, very grateful for the transparency, the authenticity, and then most importantly, just being committed to what you want out of your professional career and staying the course. So, so very proud of the both of you. I want to open the floor for your Wildcat family. I know there are questions that are burning inside of you. And so I want to make sure that I give you the floor. After all, this is Chat with a Cat. So you might as well chat with cats while we're doing it, right? If you would be comfortable of coming off of mute, you're A-okay to do that. If you would feel more comfortable asking your question in the chat, you can absolutely do that as well. But I just want to invite you all to ask questions to Ethan and Cynthia. If you have questions, since they have gone through the Mission Collaborative program, the Davidson Alumni Career Design program. Kathy McKenzie, all right.
Hi. So I'm just curious well, maybe it's just because you two were selected, but what was it about starting your own adventure, I guess, as opposed to seeking employment elsewhere? What was it that drew you to starting your own thing?
Well, I always want the honest guy to say, listen, part of it, I just think I don't know what people's faith traditions or practices are, but universe and some things were saying that just wasn't, I just got tired of going to interviews and being told that, yeah, you have too much experience or you don't have enough experience, this or that. It just, I put a stop to it because it was just too frustrating. But also, we're going to keep it real. I had now reached that point of age where ageism is real, and what you're going to require for pay wasn't just wasn't going to meet the demands. But then the longer you waited, and then you just tap into something that you're just motivated, and you just kind of say, well, why not? Something just kept me on this path. And you just do it. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to always be the thing that you're stuck in. But for me, it's more kind of just saying that, I just, these responses that I'm getting about jobs. I mean, when I say like flown all the way out to a place, an organization, and then when they asked me to bring my wife and they wanted her to go and look into, and then when we get there, it was like, when we return back, they were like, guys, be prepared to tell us a date or whatever. Just dealing with all that kind of nonsense. I just said, I just might as well just bet on myself and take a chance. And that's really how I got to where I am.
I love it, Ethan. It's a similar sort of journey. One, there were no jobs in public health. And in fact, the jobs that people were applying to 500 plus lists long, and then or senior leaders applying for jobs that are also coming from graduate students that normally senior leaders are not applying for the same jobs. And then having more senior leaders at CDC tell me I am getting rejected. And so then I was talking to mentors and just others in the field of either going through Mission Collaborative and telling them what I was doing with the career development course, or kind of where is there a gap and where do you think, knowing me and my skill sets, that I could fill the gap and the need? And several of them were like starting a foundation dedicated to maternal and child health. And so kind of after talking to a couple of people, and I was like, oh, but I don't know if I can do that. I didn't get the skills. I got a PhD in maternal and child health with a minor in epidemiology. I don't have it in business. I don't have it in philanthropy. Yes, but we believe in you.
Mm.
Collaborative, having those cheerleaders, betting on yourself and saying, oh, I can do this. And it's just trusting the process. And I kind of what Ethan is saying too is like having that flexibility. I've got aging parents. I wanted to be able to go and do things during the day, and having a 9 to 5
Yeah.
office job wasn't going to cut it.
Yeah.
And then honestly, it sounds very trite, but a lot of the stars were aligning to where you kind of look up at the North Star and go, okay, got the sign, got it, got the symbols. This is your why. This is what you're supposed to be doing right now. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of where it landed. And then I said, okay, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cynthia. I got a question in the chat. Erica, how did things work out for other first year participants? Just curious. This is real value added to coming to DC, Davidson College, that parents need to hear about, in my view. So, other first year participants, one of the things that was made available to all participants is a lot of the career coaching that we provide here at Davidson for alums. And in those coaching sessions, those one-on-one coaching sessions, we found that from the foundational pieces that were being taught through the program, alongside just doing some one-on-one coaching with them, it wasn't that they were in a bad space as it relates to job search. It's that either A, they were fearful of being able to apply up. And what I mean by that is, if you're in a mid-management role and you are looking for other mid-management roles, recruiters are going to look at you and say, you're too qualified, right? So a lot of times it was really just going through their resume and saying, hey, you are ready for director level positions, or maybe they were senior level, they were C-suite level, and they were like, I don't want to do this anymore. So what is next? And so being able to have those foundational skills that they learned with Mission Collaborative, but then also being able to put a strategic plan alongside with what they learned in Mission Collaborative. And so to answer your question altogether, yeah, I mean, most of those career design participants have either gone on to get new positions within their organizations, or they completely, left their organizations to start something new. We had about 30, actually, I think it was like 36 alums who took that particular, the first program. And so they're all in different arenas because everyone has different goals when they're going through the program. But what I love about this is that we give them the opportunity to reflect, dream, and really be able to blaze the trail that they want to set out for themselves. And that's what this is about. We don't want to be able to give people a cookie cutter approach. This is really other Wildcats getting together and saying, hey, listen, I believe in you. I know someone who knows someone who knows someone, and let's figure this thing out together. I hope that answered your question, Martin. It is
Erica,
officially 8:00. Oh, yes, Ethan.
I was
Go
going to
ahead.
say, as we answering that question, part of the process too that I appreciated about it, and when I say it was quintessential Davidson, in that this brings you back to lifelong learning and being able to lead and learn again. And I think that the danger of when we start asking, like, well, what are people doing, or where did they go, or whatever this stuff, and it's something I still struggle with, because you're trying to compare yourself to, oh, I should be here, I should be there, be whatever, life gonna do what it's gonna do to you. But really the challenge, when I hear that, and just want to leave with people, is that just be careful of where you going to compare yourself to, because that imposter syndrome and fear is real when you go through these stuff, and it can stall you out. Focus on the opportunity to reconnect with yourself. Try to learn and
Yeah.
and look at it that way and develop your own journey, because you get caught up in for me so much, you're doing what so many other people want you to do. Everybody's situation is different. Sometimes a lot of us are in toxic situations, and
Yeah.
that stuff will take a toll on you. And
Right.
you can
Right.
rethink. And the lesson I took out of it is that don't forget who Ethan is. And you got through Davidson and a lot of other stuff. So you just gotta just try again and keep your path.
That's it. That's it. Thank you, Ethan. I am super excited that we got the chance to talk together. Ethan, Cynthia, I'm so appreciative of you all. Jaleesa, thank you for sharing about what career design actually is. Wildcat family, you all have been amazing. Thank you all for sharing your Tuesday night with us. We are right back here, though, next month. Our next chat with the cat, we talked to Robin McKinney Walker, class of 2001, how she went from the courtroom to campfires. Yeah, you all got to stay tuned next month. She has an amazing story to talk about how she was able to pivot from her career in law to doing something that she truly loves in nature. I cannot wait to see you all at the next chat with the cat. If you are interested in joining the Davidson Alumni Career Design Program, please stay tuned. I am going to send you a recap of tonight's conversation, but then also share with you how you are able to take part in this next cohort starting April 25th. Thank you so much. Have a great evening, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Go Cats. Go
Go
Wildcats.
Cats!